Welcome to the 1000 Comics Podcast. What's up? It's your host, Matt Heath. How you doing, folks? How you been out there? Man, I got an interview today with Debbie Ennis, man. Debbie Ennis, a great comedienne, and also my former therapist. So you're going to enjoy that episode. You're probably also going to hear me get some therapy that I didn't have to pay for. And also, you get to use for your entertainment. So stay tuned for that. But first, I got to tell you guys why there hasn't been an episode in so long. Um, First of all, there's two missing episodes out there in cyberspace in this disk drill that I can't figure out how to use. But apparently, the files can be recovered. I just too computer illiterate to know how to do it. But the episodes with Jimmy Blair and Denver Sproul are missing. Hopefully, we'll either be able to re-record those interviews. Those guys are both local, so hopefully they'll come back and record. But we had some great conversations, so hopefully I'm able to find those lost episodes of the 1000 Comics Podcast. Not only that, the music interludes were also lost. The music that you hear in between me talking and me interviewing was lost. But luckily, those files were recovered. I found them in a message. I had it with the person that I originally recorded the music with. That's all I'm going to say about it. I'm going to leave the music of the show to be like a kind of a mystery, unless somebody finally asked me what the deal with the music is. I don't think I want to spoil it. I think I just want to say what is the deal with this music? You'll never really know. But a guy I work with, at the pawn shop, Charlie, he helped me with my computer, get a new processor going on. The laptop I use to record the podcast is about a decade old, but now it's running like new. I got a new battery in there. It doesn't always have to be plugged in. I got a new external hard drive. So I'd like to thank Charlie. He's the new hero of the 1000 Comics Podcast. He's keeping us going. It's the techies out there that keep these computer illiterate comedians going, because without them, where would we be? Before we get into the show, I also like to mention that that show with Bam Margera was canceled. I don't know if anyone of you knew. I was supposed to be open for Bam Margera, but he canceled. I guess the drugs are getting the best of him right now, and I hope him the best. But at the same time, fuck him. It's like these celebrities, they think they don't, their lives, what they're doing, their self-destructiveness, doesn't affect the people that are around them, the people that, the people that are really trying to work to get to where they are. So, I say I wish him the best. I hope he gets better, when it comes to drugs, but also, fuck him. Fuck him good. And I'm not too happy with Vinny Beetle right now either. But I try to be nice to everyone on the scene. So well, hopefully Vinny will come on the show and we'll discuss everything that he's one of the BAM's former bookers there. So also, I just want to say, if you'd like to buy my book, go on to Amazon.com, search Matt Heath in the search bar. Scared of the Dickens, Pawnbrokers, or Renaissance Men will pop right up. You can buy one of my books. You could also buy my album on vinyl at Tumbleweeds Record Store in Niantic, Connecticut. So if you're in the area, go to Tumbleweeds Niantic and buy my album, limited release, on vinyl. That's correct, vinyl. Now, on to, you're going to learn some awesome things about Debbie Ennis, man. She's got a one-woman show coming up in January. Don't miss that. Whoa. All right, so Debbie Ennis, and you enjoy.
Or do you just put it on like it is?
Well, we're on right now, so welcome to the 1000 Comics Podcast. Yes, I do edit a little bit, but I really don't cut out what people say.
All right.
So, I'm here with Debbie Ennis, and I'm so glad that I've been pronouncing your name wrong the entire time I've known you.
Most people do. I don't know where they get Ennis.
You know what? I think it's
two N's.
I think because Ennis is a first name, isn't it?
Well, Cosby's son, his name was named Enos.
Right.
And my husband likes to joke around because Cosby was in Philly, and that he named him Enos, but thought it was Ennis because he was a big baseball. Cosby was a big baseball fan.
Right.
He was in Philly, and my husband's grand uncle played for the Phillies.
Really?
He's up on the wall. He's a really good player back in the day, and his name's Ennis. So he thinks Cosby named his son. His son is named Ennis.
Oh, so the Cosby's son's Ennis or Enos?
Ennis. His name is Ennis. Right? Is it Enos or Ennis? It's Ennis.
I don't know. I have no idea. I didn't realize that.
First name was Ennis.
But just like a comedian, though, after your name was pronounced wrong, you immediately have a joke about it.
Yes,
about
I do.
As Ennis as in tennis and not Enos as in penis.
Yes.
So I like how that was your opener.
So I don't actually, when I'm new to a place, I don't tell them how to pronounce my name because I can.
You'll always have that. You'll always have an opener, but it always sounds like organic and like just off the cuff like
and
that.
And people laugh. You heard a smattering of laughter.
So what'd you think of the Hungry Tiger? Like, it's a tough room, right?
Yeah, but I like it because it was very small and intimate.
Right.
Because I've been to bigger rooms where if I go, like, I'll tell a joke and I'm like, oh, because I'm usually the oldest person there. Right. One of the only females there, and I'm kind of clean. I'm very clean, very straight. So they'll say like that. But these guys would see my expressions and are like, oh, you didn't like that? You know, I'm like
it's almost they write the most like disgusting thing or the like worst thing possible just to get like a reaction out of the comic, not even really out of the crowd.
Yeah.
You know.
So, it wasn't that bad. I've actually been the worst. I actually was not that bad. I enjoyed it.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it because you came all the way down from Massachusetts, and I've had a couple comics come down from Mass just to do that mic and do my podcast, and I don't want to disappoint,
Yeah. No, the first day I'm in by the bar, I was gonna order a hamburger,
right?
And one guy was saying something about he was trying to get the girl to guess what a movie was,
right?
And he said something. I said, "Oh, Face Off." And he's like, "Oh, you want a beer?" I'm like, "I don't drink a beer." He goes, "You want a shot?" I'm like, "Okay, I'll do a shot." And I said I wasn't drinking, but
okay, so that's why you got a shot. Okay.
Yeah. I said I wasn't drinking. I had my seltzer and my cranberry.
Right.
If someone's gonna offer me a free shot, and I'm like, "Hey, we'll do it."
I'm the same way. I don't drink hard liquor anymore, really. But if somebody's offering me, usually I take it.
Yeah, I don't drink. I don't like beer. Never acquired a taste for it, and I don't like wine.
Yeah.
So I only do hard. But I drink 4 drinks a month, maybe.
Right.
I very much don't drink. That's why I was sitting at the table for a while because I haven't eaten since lunch, so I had to have the burger in me.
Right.
Before I did the shot. Otherwise.
But you didn't get the burger. Was it a burger? Oh, you just didn't get a bun.
Oh yeah, I don't.
Oh, okay.
I'm one of those. I'm gluten free.
I thought you were eating like a steak or something. I didn't even realize it was the burger that you were eating.
Yeah.
But they have really good burgers there. I enjoy it.
Some guy just randomly came up to me and said they got really good burgers. I'm like,
yep.
I'm gonna get a burger. So I did. It was actually a very good burger.
Yeah.
So I just don't do buns.
Okay, so you're here on the 1000 Comics Podcast, and when did you start comedy?
Very first time I ever got on stage, true story, was 4th grade, and I was doing imitations.
Really?
My father would do imitations, so I did John Wayne.
John Wayne, okay.
And someone who you would not know is Jimmy Durante.
Jimmy Durante?
Jimmy Durante. Big nose guy, and you probably wouldn't know.
I know Jimmy Stewart. I don't know Jimmy Durante.
Jimmy Durante, I think it was before Jimmy Stewart. My dad would do these things, so I went up and did it.
Right. For some reason, it's reminding me of that movie. You ever seen the movie The Professional?
I've heard know the name of it.
He's like he's a killer.
Yeah.
But there's a scene where he's with a little girl and it's Natalie Portman, I think.
Oh,
and they're
okay.
they're like trying to think of a way to kill time, and they're like doing impressions for each other. He does John Wayne and she does Marilyn Monroe, and
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah.
For some reason that just popped into my mind.
So the teachers got it.
Yeah.
The students had no idea what I was doing. But I enjoyed myself. The next time I did it was senior year in high school.
Okay.
And all my friends, they would say, "Oh, you're really funny. Really do something, do some stand-up." So I said, "I think I'll do stand-up," and I was scared to death.
Right.
Truly scared. But I did riffs on, and I got the teacher that I was riffing on. If I did a riff, and a student I got permission and all that. And I did it. My mother has the tape. It's crazy listening to me back then. Those jokes are pretty good.
Right.
Anyway. So 2 shows, 2 assemblies in the school. The first one, my mom wasn't there. The first one, I killed it. I mean, killed it. People were laughing. It was like the greatest feeling. Then we do the second assembly.
Right.
And maybe it was because after lunch, they had eaten, they didn't laugh as much. Same exact jokes, everything. But they didn't laugh as much.
Right.
I have it on tape, so I'm thinking then I was like, they didn't laugh as much. But I'm hearing the tape, there was laughter. Scared me. I didn't do another thing until I was 40 or 41. Same exact jokes. One nailed it, hit it, was great, and one wasn't.
You know what's weird? Because it's like, I think as a kid, it's like, I don't think as a child you can like handle the lows of it as well as you can as an adult.
Right, but there was no rhyme or reason. Like, I did the same exact jokes.
Right.
The first one, they were laughing hysterically, and the second one, I got some laughter, but not like, and I was like, what did I do wrong? Like, I couldn't. And then, but I've heard I went to did a class, quote unquote, comedy class up here, and that's what got me started into it with Jerry Caruso.
Right.
And he was saying, it just could be the audience that night. So if you have a joke, do it several times, at least 3, 4, 5 times, different audiences. If you get nothing every single time, trash the joke. But he said it could be the audience that night. It could be the inflection maybe in your voice, but, just keep doing it.
Sometimes it's all about the confidence in the joke, too. Like, if you're not, like, telling the joke with the confidence, it's like, it'll fall flat,
Yeah. So, but I listened to it. There was laughter. There was a good amount of laughter, but not.
That's amazing that you still have the tape of that, though.
Right? I know. My mom taped it, and I have it on digital now. And the funny thing is, I'm from Jersey, and I guess maybe you can hear the accent. I can't really hear it.
I can totally hear the accent.
Okay, I can.
And you sound like, you honestly remind me so much of my aunt, because she's a social worker, and she's also from New Jersey, so it's just like, we talk, and that's like kind of the vibe I get.
Yeah, so I'm listening to the tape, and I'm like, wow, that's like a thick Jersey accent.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I really didn't know if it was me or not, so I'm listening to it. And then I had my sister, I said, is that what we sounded like? And she says, I don't know, that's really, and I wasn't like playing it up as a Jersey. I think I've lost that twang or something over the years. So if you're thinking this is real Jersey, you gotta listen to that tape. Like, I'm even going, what?
Right.
That's the one thing that struck me when I'm listening to it. I'm going, wow, I got a thick Jersey accent.
Well, I think it's when you become more well-traveled, like, over the years, and, you start to lose, like, stuff. You start to shed stuff like that, but, like, you're from Jersey as a kid. Like, I bet I had a more thick New England accent as a kid than I do now,
Yeah. I guess it's what it is. I don't know. And my husband is from South Jersey. North Jersey, South Jersey, very different worlds, very different accents. And I used to be able to hear, you go down to South Jersey, you can hear the accent. It's a totally different accent.
Right.
But then when I lived there, in about 5 years, I couldn't hear it anymore.
Right.
I just got accustomed to it. So when we had our daughter, and you probably hear that in Jersey, it was a daughter. But we had my daughter, she would say certain things, and I'm like, no. I would tell her how to pronounce it. And he's like, what are you doing? I said, she sounds like South Jersey. He goes, what's wrong with that? I'm like, I don't want her sounding like South Jersey, So I would try. Every once in a while, I'd hear her say something like, no, and I'd tell her how to say it properly. But then 5 years old, she came up here and went up here when she was 4, so now she has that wicked. She'll say wicked, and aunt.
Right.
We say aunt. She has an aunt. She has an aunt Dawn. She'll say my Aunt Dawn. But she'll say
I interchange.
Aunt.
I'll say
aunt.
aunt. I'll say aunt sometimes.
Yeah, when she's referring to somebody else, she'll say, "Oh, that's her aunt." But if she'll say, "Oh, it's my Auntie Dawn," she'll say aunt.
Really?
Yeah. So that's one of the things she'll switch back and forth.
I think I'm the same way with that. If I'm referring to somebody else, I'll say it one way, and yeah.
Yeah. And then she picked up. That's one of I do a joke about teaching her how to. When she first came up here, I was really, truthfully, not kidding. I was afraid how she was gonna say her R's.
Really?
Like what are they gonna teach her? Like I think say Like are we gonna have to tell her how to do it differently? But then she started doing things like one day I'm making her sandwiches and stuff like that, and I put an extra juice box in there.
Right.
I said, "Oh, sweetie, it's kindergarten, extra juice box," and she said, "Oh, mommy, I don't need that. I'll use the bubbler." And I was like, and I had no clue what that was, and I'm looking at her and I go, "What?" And she was a bubbler, and I said, and I'm freaking out. And this is my thought. She's 5. She hasn't been in too many bathrooms. She flushing the toilet and seeing it bubble up, and she's thinking she's gonna drink that. Like, I'm freaking out. And she says, I said, "Sweetie, explain to me exactly what you're drinking from." I had no idea what you're talking about.
The water fountain?
Yes.
That's what they call a water fountain?
Yes. Oh, you don't know that? Yeah.
I've never heard that.
I'm a water fountain guy. Right.
Yeah.
So I said, she goes, "Mommy, you push a button and it comes in an upside down U." And I go, "Oh, a water fountain." She goes, this is a true story. She goes, "Mommy, Mrs. Sheldon says it's a bubbler, and she's a teacher. She's smarter than you."
Whoa. Okay.
And I went, and then the joke is like, I knew when kid became a teenager, my IQ was going to drop. I just didn't know that going from Jersey to Massachusetts, it was going to speed up the process.
Isn't it interesting, like how like kids think that teachers are smarter than parents?
She literally said that.
I think when most people probably make more money.
Well, I'm a social worker. Teachers make more money than me.
Well, I make more money now than I did when I was teaching, so.
Well, yeah, of course, most people do. I don't.
But, I might as well mention it now on the podcast that you're the only person I've had on the podcast, well, the only person at all that I've seen as a therapist.
Ah, okay.
So this is definitely a good conversation to be having. So now that you actually see me in my natural environment, and you also were checking out all my pictures and DVD collection, I know that you're like,
I'm not.
You're checking to see how many bats I actually have in the attic.
No, that's people will say that I never tell if I'm on a plane or something, I don't tell anybody I'm a social worker, something like that. A lot of times they ask what you do because they're like, "Oh, are you gonna start analyzing me?" I'm like, "No, I'm not gonna do that."
Right.
Just no. I mean, I get enough crazy. There's a reason why people get into the fields they get into.
Right.
There's a reason I got into.
But you know what? I did have to blackmail you to get you to come do this podcast. I was like, "I'll give you back your book, which you lent me in the therapy office.
Yes.
I'll give you back your book if you come do my comedy podcast," which we were all about doing. But at the same time, I'm like, I wonder if she's analyzing me for doing that. Like, what?
No, actually, I actually appreciate it because I haven't done stand-up in a while, and when I get out of it, I have some anxiety.
Right.
I do. I could usually hone it, and I get it, and I own it. Like, I don't blame somebody else for my anxiety, or I have a little bit of OCD, I don't blame everybody else. But I haven't done stand-up in a long time, so when I said, "Oh, I'll come down," and I was like, "I don't know if I want to do stand-up," and like, "Yeah, you got to do a set. You got to do a set." And I'm like, "Okay, all right." But now that I did it, it's like the ice is broken again. All right, Deb, you can do this, because I will get like hot, like my neck will get hot, and I'll be like, sound. It's like really weird. I can get that anxious.
Really?
Yeah. So it was a nice little thing tonight. I tried one new joke, and I was like, I can't even read this. It was dark, and I couldn't figure it out. I was like, oh man. But it
maybe
got
when
me
you're doing
going.
mics, you should bring your glasses with you.
I know. The thing is, I have to wear them all the time now, like literally within the last month.
Right.
And I forget them because I'm not used to it, but I have to bring them.
Okay.
But now I'm like, all right, there's a couple by me. The Woo Ha Ha has open mic on Sundays. The Attic has something. Bull Mansion's on Tuesdays once a month. I know where they all are in the Worcester area and that kind of stuff, so I'm going to start hitting them again because you got me going. So I do appreciate that. I'm
glad you came today. And you know something? I was, I think I might be having I don't know, an episode. I don't know what you call it. I don't expect you to do any free therapy for me here on this podcast, but in a way I do.
I charge $75 an hour, but since you gave me something to drink, maybe I'll knock it down a little.
Honestly, yesterday something happened to me. You know what? I'm starting to talk New Jersey too. The way I just said yesterday,
Yes,
I'm starting. See, if I start talking to people with your accent, like I
Pick it up.
start talking like that. Yesterday, I something happened to my computer. My hard drive. Basically, my computer ran out of memory. I'm transferring everything over onto a hard drive,
Wow.
and I lost like almost everything on my computer for some reason. When
podcasts?
all my podcasts, all my pictures, all my but luckily like 30 episodes are online. Like they're not going anywhere. But the 3 most recent episodes I've done like are gone. I went out to my car, like, because I was at work when this happened. I went out to my car, kind of like, I was like punching the seat. I was getting like really angry and upset. I went back inside and I threw my laptop that was sitting here in the trash. And a buddy of mine was like, you know what? I could probably get that back. He's like a real techie guy. He's like, oh, there's something about computers. If something's deleted, it's not really deleted. It needs to be written over like 7 times for it to be deleted. So he's like, I just got it done. So he's working on it for me today.
Cool.
Hopefully he's gonna get those podcasts. I think 100% he's gonna get them back.
Right.
But also after that, yesterday, went on the worst first date I have ever been on in my life. And something that's like, I am usually skeptical about taking girls to open mics, which I did. And that wasn't even the bad part about it. We had a great time at the open mic. She thought I was really funny. We had a nice dinner.
Cool.
It wasn't until after I took her to this dive bar she wanted to go to. And her father was there.
Oh, Jesus.
And he was like mean mugging me like the entire time he was there. He eventually leaves. She runs up like 15 drinks on my tab.
No. Wait a minute. Seriously, she drank 15 drinks?
I think in total out of like the entire evening. Like she had like,
Wow.
maybe 10.
Okay.
But I'm not like, that may be exaggerating a little bit at 15, but it was still a lot. But by the end of the night, she's wasted. She ends up going home with her friend rather than going with me. I guess I can't even really be mad about that because like, now I got to deal with this like wasted.
Yeah. Sure.
Like, but like when I came back to my place, I think I cried for the first time in a few years now.
Crying is good. I don't know why. I have people in my office and they cry, and it's okay. Like most guys will cry because it's like it's a safe place, and you just have all this built up. Like how you have all range of human emotion. How do you not have this one? The sadness. How is that possible? I don't understand how it's possible.
Do you think it's because most guys just hide their sadness with their anger?
It's supposed to be tough. Yeah. Because anger covers over either sadness or fear. So when you said you were angry and you were in the car, you weren't angry.
Right.
You were either sad.
But I think it was just like me having this like terrible day.
Mm-hmm.
It was all building up to that. I don't know.
But
like
it's a good release. It is. I see nothing wrong with it. I don't.
Okay.
I really don't. I explain it to people all the time. Some of the techniques I do that if you're not upset, like I see guys get really upset because it's just guttural. What I put them through this. I do a lot of subconscious type techniques. When you're back in your mind. You're back when you're a kid.
What was the acronym that we did in our session again?
EMDR.
EMDR. And you did this with me, but like I don't think I really had like a big emotional response when we were doing that. But I think it takes a while to like build to that maybe.
Well, you like to be in your head, I think. Right? Some people will live in their head and they will be intellectual about it. Like,
right.
Do you get a lot of headaches? Do you get headaches?
No, I never really get headaches.
Okay, it's good because a lot of people who are in their head when they're getting upset, it'll hit them in their head.
But I think it's because I meditate as well, though.
Okay.
Do you think not getting headaches maybe come from that?
Meditation can do a lot of different.
I do try to meditate, but it's like one of the other things. I had broken up with my fiance. I don't know. You remember that I was engaged before.
I do, and you said.
And now I'm single. One of the things like I think that caused us to break up is like I feel like it was just like I don't know if this is gonna be like sexist to say or whatever. It's just like constant talking. Like it's like I need a moment to myself to like just like think. It was like her. It's almost like her interfering with that time that I need to meditate.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
No, yeah.
But then it's like, since I moved back into my own apartment, which I had before we were together, I had my own place in Florida. And where is the line between self meditation and self isolation?
Well, when you say meditation, are you saying 15, 20 minutes you're sitting and you're just observing the breath?
Yes.
Okay. So that's meditation. When we say isolation, you're just puttering around watching TV. That's different than meditation.
Right.
So, so I don't see them the same. You could be isolating and still meditating.
But isn't meditation in a sense isolate? Because you need to isolate yourself to meditate.
No, if you're very good at meditation, you can meditate on the bus or the subway.
Okay.
You can just be aware. You're just aware of your breathing and maybe the sounds around you, and you don't really think anything about them. So if you're a good meditator, you can meditate wherever.
Right.
So no, you don't have to be in isolation to do it.
Hmm.
That's the way I know it. I mean, I'm not an expert on meditation.
But even though there's people around you on the subway or on the bus, like, you could still...
Yes.
I don't know.
If you're good, it's difficult. I'm not saying it's not...
This is just something I've been struggling with lately. Like, what's the difference between isolation and meditation? It's something I think about. I end up thinking about while I'm meditating, you know?
Yeah. No, it's... I see isolation as keeping yourself away from others, or you could be isolated on a bus.
Right.
You can isolate yourself on a bus.
So if you could meditate on a bus, you could just as easily, like, I'm isolating myself.
Yes.
On this bus.
Yeah,
But what is really the difference?
Well, because isolation usually comes out of a fear.
Right.
Not wanting to be with people, have been hurt in the past, fear of saying the wrong thing, people are going to laugh at me. That tends to cause isolation.
Okay.
Like, I have a lot of people who say, well, I like being by myself. I'm good by myself.
Right.
And a lot of times if I know them long enough, I would say, I'm calling the bullshit on that. I said, because we're social creatures. While we like to have our time alone,
right,
you do not like to be alone most of the time. You've learned to be okay with it because when you were a kid, you were an outsider or whatever, and people made fun of you, whatever, you were uncomfortable in that situation. So you learned to be somewhat okay, and you convinced yourself, I'm okay being by myself.
Right.
But humans are social creatures. And on the happiness scale, when they rate people's happiness, the number one thing is how many relationships, how many friendships do you have, and how strong are those relationships and friendships. And that people who have more relationships, more friendships, will rate themselves happier. Those who have very few rate themselves as not so happy. And that's one of my intake questions. That's when I ask, name me some of your friends. And some people just and they'll go on. I'm like, okay. And then someone will say, my sister. I'm like, okay. Anybody else? No. And I'm like, okay.
Right.
And then, that person would probably rate themselves not as happy.
Really?
Yes. That study's been around. There's studies like that for years. They've been studying that for years.
But back to what I was saying about the meditation versus isolation. Like, let's say like a monk taking a vow of silence. Yes. That's for meditation, correct?
I don't know. I know IMS, Insight Meditation Society, is right up the street from my house. It's world renowned.
Right.
Believe it or not, they've been married 25 plus years, and they do silent retreats there.
Okay.
And I'm somehow gonna get a joke on this one, but they'll go there for like a month, maybe a weekend, a month, 2 months, 3, 6 months.
Right.
And people will be in silence.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, if I was away from my kid and my husband I'd be kind of happy too for a month. Like, how can it not be?
But I don't understand how that's not, in a sense, isolation too. Like, if you're doing
isolation, I think the definition is just definition is probably on your own.
Right.
Right. So, you could say you're isolated up here because you're on your own. But I think of isolation is secluding yourself off
Okay.
somehow, or being secluded. They're in, jails. They're in isolation. They're away from everybody.
Right.
Maybe against their will.
But I think that people in jail often do find meditation.
They do.
And those are the people that usually are actually able to become rehabilitated, in a sense where
yes.
I don't think that correctional facilities are always the way
they're not doing. If facilities itself is not helping someone rehabilitate, the person has to work on that.
Right.
But I don't think. Well, it'd be like if you're isolated, you're not meditating.
Okay.
You can be isolated, but not meditating. And you can meditate, again, be on a subway and not be isolated.
It's strange though. I feel like isolating is making yourself be by yourself and like forcing away meditation almost. Like you're trying to be get away from everybody so you could also get away from yourself. You know what I mean?
Isolation.
That's what
maybe.
I think that's how I would define isolation, I guess.
Yes, it could be even getting away from yourself. Yeah, I would go with that. I would see that as more that.
But in a sense, a meditative out-of-body experience, aren't you in a way getting away from yourself?
Yeah. I don't know when they say, because when you say isolate, meditate, and your out-of-body experience, people who dissociate get away from themselves. So, and dissociation is when you, some people like lose time.
Yeah.
Like you lose track of time and you like come back and people have been talking, you have no idea because you just kind of.
I feel like I've been doing that lately.
Yeah, because you kind of take yourself away from some people who dissociate. It's like a kind of a stressful type situation a lot of times, or whatever, and they take themselves away.
Right.
That could be isolating the mind from the physical too.
Right.
I mean, I think isolation is just a word of being pulled away.
Okay.
How you pull away? Are you being pulled away because you're in jail and it's being forced on you? Are you pulling yourself away because you don't want to be hanging out with your friends that night? You want to be pulled away from your own psyche because it's too hard to handle this situation. You want to pull away. So I think isolation is just pulling away. I don't think it. That's what I'm thinking about it. I don't know. I never really thought much about it.
All right.
I never got too deep into it.
So we don't get too much deeper into it. I just want to. In addition, I brought your book up. I went all the way back. Oh, I live here on this 4-story walk up. We came all the way upstairs, and I'm like, I got to run down and get your book. This is the book for the audience, if you don't know. It's called
The Power.
The Power.
By Rhonda Byrne. It's a sequel, kind of like to The Secret. The power is love.
Love.
And she's saying the power of love can solve just about everything.
But when we first talked about this in our session, we talked about like manifesting things.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about a dream board,
vision board,
and I actually got this as a gift for you today, which is it's me on Conan O'Brien's couch and you on Ellen DeGeneres'
very
show.
Cool.
So.
That's
you? That is me. That's a younger me. I just
okay.
That picture probably.
Yeah, on my vision board, I have a picture of Ellen DeGeneres' audience from the stage.
Okay.
Because that's the way I want to see it.
Oh, okay.
So I don't have.
But this is the way I see you on her couch. So that's my gift to you. I'm gonna put another one up on my corkboard over there of all the.
Right. Yeah. No. That. Your lips to Ellen's ears.
Hopefully, Ellen, if you're listening to this podcast, Debbie wants to be on your show, and I want to be on Conan O'Brien's show, and we're trying to manifest that not only through this picture I just gave Debbie, but through this podcast, and hopefully people listening.
Yeah, I will be.
Who knows?
I will be. You're supposed to say will. I am.
That was the thing, right? I am.
Yeah, it's kind of like I am. It's in the present tense. I am creating a set.
I am, or we are.
Or we are, yeah.
We are. We are.
We are creating sets that get us to our goals.
And the Hungry Tiger is the
I could be my new
the
revival.
catalyst,
That could
right?
be my new revival because I haven't done it. I seriously haven't done anything since.
There's places
May.
closer to you that you might be able to work on your craft a little bit better than that, though.
Definitely.
But that was just the start. Hungry Tiger
seriously.
is just the start, and then we're gonna go practice our material, everything like that. What did you think of the Riff Bowl? Did you there?
It's funny because I'm actually pretty funny on my feet, so to speak. Like and that's what my friends like about me. They'll say, and I'll just goof on it.
I think you had two things working against you. With this Riff Bowl, they have the Hungry Tiger. People write down topics. The comedians have to read them.
Yeah.
I think you had two things working against you. One, you didn't have your glasses.
I couldn't read it.
And two, I think the comics that were there were writing some of the most heinous things.
They were, and I just.
And you tend to work clean, so.
I do. I think I said a swear word tonight, and usually swear doesn't come out of my mouth. But like in that setting, I was like, all right, whatever. But usually, I do. I work clean. I like being clean. I don't just prefer it. I don't.
You like to come do a podcast at a clean apartment?
This is very clean.
You know something?
This is cleaner than my house.
But listen, I try to make sure it's clean when I have a podcast guest.
No, this is good.
Today I was like, this woman was my therapist. I got to make sure it's like 100%. Otherwise, if I ever go back to that therapy, like I don't know. Am I trying to hide something?
Now, if it's too clean, I might say, okay, what's going on here? No, this is very clean, very neat, very orderly.
Women
for
will
a
come
young
over.
man.
Yeah, see, no, but that's the thing. You just said it too. Women will come over and say, like, this is clean for a guy. But I was like, well, no, it's clean. It's just
no, it's
leave
clean.
it. It's
No,
clean.
it is clean.
Like, why do you have to say for a guy? Because I've been over women places and they have disgusting places sometimes. So
I take that back. I stand corrected. No,
the sexism, I think, does work both ways, and it's not commented on that. You know, it's like that bad first date I was on yesterday. You know, it's weird. It was completely socially acceptable for everyone in that bar what that girl was doing, and I was pissed off like when I was leaving, like I can't believe she did that, yada yada. But imagine if it was the other way around. Like if a guy, like the woman drove, on the date, right. The guy gets wasted, runs up her tab, and then leaves with his friends.
He's a dick.
Yeah.
Can I say that on the
right?
Yeah.
Imagine if a guy did that. He'd be the worst. Like, he would be, like, put on blast on social media. Yep. Like, he'd be the worst guy ever for doing that, But a woman does it, it's like, well, it's like, it was bad, but, like, let's just forget about it the next day. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You white guys get a bad rap. You really do. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry about that. You've been getting it for so many years now. No,
Here goes my therapist again going, you white males, like, you got it so hard. You poor white males.
I feel for you. I do. It was terrible.
It's like, I can kind of see why he stopped going. Who are your heroes as comedians?
Bill Cosby.
Seriously,
I knew his stuff.
But he was
9th Street Bridge. Oh my
that makes complete sense to me. It's like I know some of our listeners would be like, Bill Cosby, how could she like him?
I like his comedy.
But I completely get it as a comic because he was the 100% ultimate clean comic. Clean. And you're hilarious. A clean comic, so
yeah, and he would tell stories.
Right.
And I get see, it's so funny. And then I also like Jerry Seinfeld. Jerry Seinfeld really liked, but I've heard things with him that he liked Bill Cosby, and he would do the same thing. And I tell stories. So a lot of mine, it's hard. I want to tell stories, and I've done an hour-long show. I've done 3 different hour-long shows. I've been paid for them, and people are laughing hysterically. Actually, I did 4 or 5 hour-long shows. 4. But they're laughing hysterically. But I weave a story. My friend goes, "Oh my god!" And then you referred back to the thing before. I said, "Yeah, that's what I do." When I go to an open mic, and I've got 5 minutes, it's hard for me.
It's harder.
It's extremely difficult to weave a story. So, I don't know where else to. I go to my open mics to be comfortable in front of people, not necessarily to tell all of my jokes. So some of the people, at this point, I realized I really don't care too much if people are laughing. I'm just getting used to saying part of my joke because one of my jokes is like it's like an 8.5 minute joke or 6.5 minute joke. It's like
you make it an interesting point, and I feel like people don't talk about it a lot. That Connecticut has kind of more of a New York atmosphere when it comes to stand up, where it's all about the open mic, all about working on the tight five. It's not necessarily about learn to be the craft of the storyteller, which I think in the times I've gone up to Massachusetts, there's rooms that encourage that. They want you to work on your craft in a way where you can become a storyteller, as opposed to work on this tight five so you can, I don't know, get on.
Yeah, and I understand
TV
the tight five, and I get that. When I took my comedy class, we talk about that. And recently, what's his name?
Big J Okerson.
Is it Big J? No, is it him? No, who's the guy who hosted the night we went to Mohegan? Him.
Pat Oates.
Pat Oates. Okay.
And he had a funny comment about you that he's like Debbie's like the every mother on like a '50s sitcom I've always wanted, and I was like he always has the perfect comment to everything.
He does. He'll take your set and for like $50 he looks at it and he tells you what you can do. And when he did, I think that's a pretty good set. I did pretty well that night. And then I'm realizing I did lose my voice when I was there, the audience had me. Then you switched, and I went, oh yeah. And then he said, but this one's got to be cut down. The one he told me to cut down, I already had cut down. But he's saying, oh, you got to cut down again. And I'm like, no, but that joke, that one that I tell, people love that. When I do my hour-longs, they love that. But in a Mohegan Sun type setting.
Yeah, because you're working on the tight five in that
setting. It's harder to do. So I get what he wants me to. I know when people say they want to pare it down, but I don't really want to pare that one down because that one gets a good laugh. But I have to. It's very confusing to me sometimes when I'm just. Do I do the tight five? That's what's going to probably get me on Ellen, or do I do a story? And that's what I really want. Because I don't really. Do I want to be on Ellen? Yes, I'd love to be on Ellen. But my old joke was I want to fill fire halls.
I feel like there's room to work on both. I feel like a good comedian needs to have the tight five, so you could be in the situations where you're doing tight five.
Right.
But you've already done hour shows. You're already a headliner. You need to work on. You need to work. You also need to work on that. It's both.
Yeah, and that's me getting going out and getting a show and say, yeah, they have an audience of parents. They want to say, yeah, I can do that, blah, 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 and entertain.
Right.
I like doing that. I'll do 45 minutes to an hour. I enjoy doing that. It's just comedy, and when you're seeing them laugh, it's just hysterical. I just enjoy it.
Who doesn't? Who doesn't like getting the laugh, the response from the crowd?
Yeah. But the thing is, I always I want people to enjoy themselves. There's a different way of someone's always like, you want the laugh or do you want them? I said no, I want them to enjoy themselves. That's really what I'm looking for. Not to say, oh, she's great. Just oh my God, for them to forget about their worries for just an hour. As a therapist, that's the whole reason I really started going into comedy. And if you go to my website, it's we talk about, we're gonna laugh.
Plug your website right now, so anybody listening can go on to it.
So it's Debbie Ennis, my name, Ennis. It's like tennis without the T. So DebbieEnnis.com. And I'm a therapist there. And then if you click on it, it's a comedy. I'll bring you to my comedy website, which is DebbieEnnisComedy.com.
I've been on your therapy website. I haven't been on your comedy.
Yeah,
I didn't realize there was a link.
Website. Yeah, there's a link there. But I think laughter is very healing. The endorphins go up, the cortisol goes down. It makes you just forget about, quote unquote, your troubles for a while. But my big thing is perspective. If you look at everything a little bit differently, your trouble's not as big as you think that trouble is, or that problem you're having is not as big as you think it is.
Right.
So just look at it in a different way. And comedy sometimes will make you look at things in a different way, and you start laughing. But in my comedy shows, I do like a Q&A kind of towards the end.
Right.
My parenting ones, when I do that, and I say
Kind of like how Kevin Smith does, who we were talking about in the.
Oh yeah, does he do that?
He does. He doesn't even do stand up. He just does Q. He does Q&As. Yeah.
So yeah, I have people put questions in the beginning of it or during the show if they have any questions about their kids or something like that or whatever. And I may bring it up and kind of do a goof thing on it, and then say, seriously, maybe this approach your child like this, or maybe if your husband heard this, or your wife was, blah blah blah. And, I give them a little bit of a tidbit on how to handle it. So you get comedy, and you might get a little bit of wisdom or something, to use when you leave.
Nice.
So that's what I like to do on those shows. It's like 45 minutes of comedy and a little bit of Q&A. But
I like the sound of that.
Yeah.
When's the next time you're doing one of those?
Actually, I'm doing one in January. Well, here's the thing. I'm doing a comedy routine for just therapists in January.
Really?
And I say that because I never, ever, ever do any comedy about anything that really is brought up in my office.
Right.
I don't. I don't want anybody to think I'm laughing at them because I'm not. And truthfully, I sit in front of my therapist about once a month.
Oh, it kind of reminds me of a nightmare I had about you where you're pointing and laughing at me. I'm sitting in your office and you're...
But I would never, and I don't want anybody out there to think that the therapist is laughing. They're not.
Okay.
The thing we tend to laugh at or we tend to make jokes about is people tend to think they're unique in their problems, and I repeat myself I don't know how many times a week.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's the same thing rehashed. It really is. So it's kind of like there's a couple things you can say to a therapist, and they would just start cracking up.
Right.
Because they know what we're talking about, and we're not making fun of anybody.
What's an example of this?
I don't know if I want to give an example. Well, I'll tell you.
Because it's only going to make a therapist laugh?
No. Well, I don't. So it's like one of these jokes. It's a stupid thing, but one of the jokes I'll say, like, I tell my friends, it's not even a joke. I tell my friends, you ever going shopping, you grocery shopping, and you're walking down the aisle, and you hear this mother, like, just going off on her kid and all that, and you just turn your cart around and walk the other way, because you just don't, it's like you don't want to deal with it, because you're seeing all the things that you could be doing, and you're saying, and all that, and you're just like, oh my God, get me out of here. And I used to joke around. I said, I want my friends fairly, what did I say? Fairly put together.
Right.
Like, I'm dealing with this all day long. I just want my friends kind of put together. But the funny thing is, most therapists have therapists.
Right. I was actually just thinking of that. The episode of The Sopranos just came into my mind when you said that, where the therapist goes to therapist. And I'm thinking, it's like, is there therapists that only treat therapists?
Yes.
And are they like the top tier of therapists?
It's almost like they have their bullshit meter is really good. Because, I can go in there and say, this, and they can call bullshit. Because they know when you're trying to almost pull the wool over your own eyes, you're not going to get any better unless someone says, no.
So the best therapists are the ones that can call people on their bullshit, is what you're telling me.
For me, yeah. If you're just going to I'm not a friend. This therapist shouldn't be a friend.
Okay.
Like, a friend's going, oh, man, that was terrible. That girl did you wrong in that bar. Oh, man. And she wished she did it. And I might say, well, what was it about her that you were attracted to in the first place? And then we get into, like, blah, blah, blah. And we might get into some deeper stuff rather than, because if you want to feel good, or feel better. So I'm going to say feel better, but go to your friends. If you really want to find out what's going on in your life and not to repeat certain things, then go to a therapist. They can point you in a certain direction.
Right.
But a therapist knows the lingo, knows the stuff, so they can talk this and know this. And a good therapist, a therapist's therapist, will know how to help you move from one to another.
Mm-hmm.
It's different. And there's a couple, I think, yeah. So I see someone, and I'm like, sometimes I get bullshit her. I'm like, I don't know.
So anyways, how I was attracted to this girl.
No. I was an example. That was just an example, not you. I just brought it up. But no, in general, it's your buddies are supposed to make you feel better, and a therapist is supposed to make you be better.
I feel like I may be looking for people in my life that attracted to for the wrong reasons. I guess I don't know. Is that a part of it? You think?
A lot of us do, and it's subconscious. We don't realize it.
Yeah.
That's what it is. We bring certain people to us, and it's a subconscious thing, and we don't realize it. I always try to tell my clients, water finds its own level. If you were brought up in a certain way in a certain family, I was very, very, very sarcastic for many years.
Right.
It came natural. Didn't even realize I was doing it.
Me too.
Hurt some of my friends. They would kind of laugh, but they really didn't. Wasn't you're making fun of somebody when you're being sarcastic, and I really didn't realize it. I realize now. I grew up. My mom was very sarcastic.
Yeah.
So early on, my daughter was like 2, and she said something, and I said, "She's being sarcastic." A 2-year-old, 2.5-year-old was being sarcastic, and I'm like, she did not get that from the Teletubbies or Barney. She got that from me.
Yeah.
And it was a rude awakening. And at that point, I said, and I had been to not a therapy club, it was a therapy group type thing, where I learned about the law of attraction, all that kind of stuff. And he says like in this big, sarcasm is the worst, it's the lowest form of communication. And you know what my answer was? You're just not doing it right. Yeah. So
that's a great response to that.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
But it hit me. But here's the thing. I promised my daughter at that point. I promised her. I said, when mommy's being sarcastic, 'cause I couldn't even hear it. I made a pact with her that she could tell me. And when she was little, she goes, "Mommy, you're being sarcastic." I couldn't even say it right. I said, "You gonna bring your shoes upstairs? You're gonna let them fly up there?" That's sarcasm. She goes, "Mommy, you're being sarcastic." I said, "Yes, I am." "Sweetie, pick up your shoes, put them in your room." And that's just a mild one. But I would do that all the time. Now, it's really funny because I kind of have knocked out a lot of my sarcasm. But when you're on stage, it is okay to be sarcastic. So it's almost like I almost don't want to go back there and get to be that person again.
But it's almost like because it's almost like you have to learn your life on stage differently. It's almost like when the first time you're on stage is like you're like a little kid again. Like it's like you have to grow up on stage like you grow up in real life.
Yeah.
So it's almost like sarcasm, like it's a shield in real life. It's like a shield on stage as well.
Yes. But it's almost like I don't want to do too much of the sarcasm because Pat Oates was telling me certain things to do. He says you gotta get that. He says you were getting ramped up, like you were getting angry, and then you pulled back, and you were laughing about it, like one of the jokes I did. And I said, but I don't want to be an angry comic. And he says, but you don't have to be. He's trying to explain this. We were going back and forth in emails, and I'm like, that really scares me because I don't want to be, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, you don't want to turn into Lewis Black all of a sudden.
Right.
Yeah.
But I do get frustrated with certain things, or I'm like, but I kind of laugh about it. See, I've learned to just laugh about things rather than be angry because I don't want to be that angry person. I used to be a very angry person about 17 years ago, just like Porcupine. Like, I'm going to get you before you get me. I'm going to be prepared, and I would be angry. And I learned to soften up. I learned to lighten up. And then when I go on stage, when I'm talking, I forget the skit, the one he was telling me about, but he says, we were hearing you get angry, and then you were kind of laughing. And
right.
I'm like, oh, but that's what I do in my real life. So I think there's a staged persona in Debbie, and then there's Debbie.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm working on now, because ever since then, I can't write my jokes almost because it's like, I don't want to go angry. Like I don't want to be that angry person because I'm afraid that I'm going to slip into that. I don't know if I'm making myself clear, but
do you have writer's block recently or
no? I can come up with a lot of different things, and people say that's a joke. I said yes, that is a joke, and I have certain things written down.
Yeah,
but
you know what I've done recently to remedy writer's block? Instead of using a notebook, I use a daily planner now, and I try to force myself to write a joke a day, and it doesn't always work, but like I can, if I'm in a joke writing mood, I can write a joke for that day and then backtrack.
Oh, that's
days.
Cool. I have a whiteboard,
and
I'll write like menopause, and then every so often I'll go over there. There's one about baggers, like when you were too young, but back in the day when you used to go grocery shopping,
yeah,
your kids were your baggers.
Okay.
You know, you didn't have a bagger.
Yeah.
Like, it infuriates me when I see someone, the checker's checking out, and the bag, you know, they have to have a separate bagger. When they don't have a separate bagger, the person is literally standing there with their arms closed.
Waiting for the person to bag their groceries?
Yes!
Yeah.
I'm like, where is your dignity? Where is your respect? Just freaking, why are you so lazy? Bag your groceries. Like, and I'm looking, I almost one time went to bag the lady's groceries, and I'm thinking, okay.
You are an angry guy.
Right, I am. Like, I could see myself, because I'm like, I was almost bagged this one lady's groceries. I'm like, you've got to be kidding.
Yep.
But I'm like, okay, I can't do that. So the jokest thing is, like, I remember when I was a kid, my mother said, bag the groceries. Mommy, and you're bagging them. I'm like, I can't even thrust that about. I'm like, when I have a kid, I'm going to make them do the bag. And I can't even do that now, because I got some. And then if I go dark, sometimes you have special ed kids bagging.
Right.
Like, you know, then I can go dark there, but I don't want to go dark there.
No.
It's like,
but you know what? You actually just made me realize, and like you said, Seinfeld was one of the people you looked up to in comedy. And something Bill Burr said to him on one of those comedians in car shows was that, like, Jerry Seinfeld's just pretending to be a nice comic.
Yes.
He goes,
I see that.
He goes, there's about 1 billion things that annoy you with the human race, and that's why you are a comedian.
Right.
And that made complete sense to me.
Oh.
Like, the reason comedians are comedians is because we're so bothered by everything.
We notice it.
And we notice it, we have to write it down.
Yep.
And then release it somehow.
That show, I love Comics in Cars Getting Coffee.
Yeah.
It is the first time that I really see Jerry Seinfeld.
For who he is?
Yes.
Yes.
He can go dark and mean.
Well, did you see him in the episode? He's getting all angry talking about a comic. They bleep out his name. It turns out it's Bobcat Goldthwait.
No.
Oh.
I haven't seen.
You got to watch more of the recent ones. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I'm like, wow. Like But it's interesting. He doesn't show that, but in this show that he is, I saw it.
Yeah, you'll see a little, because he'll just beat himself.
I'm thinking those same things too sometimes, but like I don't want to necessarily say it, but there's got to be comedy in here somewhere else, and I guess that's really a skill to make it funny, but not make like you're not making fun of somebody. You know, it's. But I can see him being. He's angry. He's. Yeah, he can go dark if he wanted to, very easily.
But I think what's just like what you were saying is you are in a way like him. You want to be that fun.
Move over, let me bang.
You want to be that fun person on stage. It's like it is hard because like comedians, we're different than other people.
I've always thought
we're much different than other people, but we're also trying to make everybody have a good time.
Yes.
So it's like there's almost like a crazy balance that's going on, especially when it comes to you in front of the paper trying to write. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No. I do, and I have. It's funny because like a whiteboard is pretty good. I'll go by that when I see menopause, or I see bagger or checkout, or I'll see one of my other topics. I'm like, yeah, and I'll just put a word or something like that, and I'll just laugh to myself as I walk by. And I'm like, okay. And then if I have enough things after a while, I take it and I say, okay, how do I craft a story on this one? But someone I just want to go like, and then I think about that lady standing there. I'm like, bag your bags, bag your groceries. What are you doing?
Right.
You're standing there.
You know what? It's like because everybody's been doing the grocery bag jokes about their, being the tax on the bags. But I did see this one woman. It's so angry that she had to pay for a bag, and she was like, "I'm from Texas, and we don't have to pay." It's just like, just go back to Texas, lady. Yeah. Like, just because you have to pay 10 cents doesn't mean you need to ruin like the cashier's day. Right. And I think it's like a lot of that comes from. I don't know. Did you work as a cashier ever in your life?
No, never.
I did. I worked at CBS in high school.
Never quick enough with numbers to do that.
Right. You don't have to be quick with numbers. It's all on the screen. It tells you to beep, put it in the bag, and you don't have to be good with numbers at all to be a cashier. But I feel like it comes from me working like a lot of different jobs in my life. Like, I worked as a fry cook. I worked as a dishwasher. I've worked, like right now I'm a pawn broker. But it's like It's like when you like go to a restaurant and you see people like doing like things that are that like, I don't even think people realize they're being rude, but then it's like
Right.
it frustrates you, you know?
Yeah, and see as the therapist too, I think that person is not really angry. They're sad about something, or there's a big fear, and that's where they're going with the anger. And if you come back at them, usually, someone's angry, and you come and say, "What the hell is you about?" And they get louder, then you get louder, and it goes up and up and up. And literally, a lot of times I just keep my voice calm,
Right.
and it will tend to knock somebody down because they're not really angry.
Right.
They're scared or sad most of the time.
So to just dissect your bit, I guess I'll call it a bit earlier about being angry that the woman doesn't want to bag her own groceries. You're really sad about something. So what is it that you're sad about?
Yeah, I'm like, is it that society has gotten to this point where you need to be waited on hand and foot? Like you think, like I almost think that they think the cashier is beneath them or something. It's
okay.
Like, do things for yourself. Why are we all, we blame other people for stuff all the time. That person did this, that person did that, and it's almost like they're beneath us, and that's their job. Well, why can't you help? Why does it have to be someone else's job to do anything? Why can't we help each other out?
Right.
And that bothers me. Help each other out. Like, she's literally doing nothing. Like, what? I don't understand. I don't get that. Why? Help each other out.
Do you ever go to Walmart?
Very rarely.
But when you have gone in those rare occasions, do you find yourself getting upset that there's absolutely no customer service at a Walmart?
No, I just get in and get out. That's not sad because I think of people there. It's like, I don't want to sound the wrong way. Over the last probably 8 to 10 years, my husband and I have been. Our income has been good. Like 17 years ago, my lights were going to be turned off.
Right.
Literally, we didn't have the money to pay our electric bill, and now we don't think about that. So when I go around and see people and they're looking at the things and they're checking at the prices, and it's in Walmart that happens a lot more often than other places, I kind of get sad. I get sad for people. So it's because I don't have to check out to see how much the milk is or how much the pretzels are or how much whatever. And when they're getting angry, sometimes they're angry a lot of times about they don't have enough money to. That's my interpretation of it.
Oh, so it's almost. It's to me, it's the people that work there like feeling like they shouldn't have to do anything. But for you, it's like it's the customers that are there that like you don't want to deal with the it's almost like bad energy in a Walmart.
Yeah. I know it sounds kind of weird, but I feel bad for people when they start to price things out and blah 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 blah. And then I say, I didn't know how much. They say, oh, how much is that? I was like, I don't know.
Well, we're winding down here. I want to end on a positive note.
Okay.
So, what else do you have coming up for comedy?
No, I got something in January. I'm going to put something together, like I said, for therapists. And then a lot of my friends and a lot of people have been saying, you got to do another. I did a one-woman show. My first kind of foray into comedy on my own is back in 2014. Wasn't that long ago? 14. I forget what it's on my website. But I want to do another one-woman show.
Awesome.
Last time it was bring a can of food for the food pantry. But I work at a nonprofit facility, Listening Wellness Center. We do a lot for the neighborhood and all that. And I have a program there called Wheels in Motion.
Okay.
It's a nutrition program, bicycling nutrition program for kids. I give them bikes, give them a helmet, give them a water bottle, 6-week program. So I want to raise money for that.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I think I'm going to do, a show.
You know what? I might have some extra bikes at the pawn shop if kids bikes if you'd like me to.
Yeah, if they're I teach kids about 9 to 10 and up. So not little ones.
So
but
okay,
older ones. Yeah.
But like kid size bikes or adult size bikes?
I would say more of adult size bikes.
Okay.
20. What are the wheels? 20,
I could try to at least get you a couple bikes for this.
Yeah, because it's good, and I refurbish them if they're messed up, and I refurbish them and I give them to the kids, and we do that during the summer, and there's a lot of 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds that know how to ride bikes. I taught. I'm kind of in the people know me that I teach kids in their autistic kids.
Right.
Those who have Asperger's who do not know how to ride a bike at all, and you see parents crying when their kid knows how to ride a bike.
And now everyone knows how Debbie taught me how to ride a bike.
So I'm going to raise money for that. But there are a lot of older kids who don't know how to ride bikes.
It took me a while.
Yeah, no.
It actually took me a while. It took me a while to learn how to swim too. I was a slow learner and everything.
Yeah. No, I love teaching kids how to ride bikes.
Yeah.
It used to be when we were kids, it was our freedom.
Yeah.
You can go off your block.
Yeah.
Ride. Nowadays, parents will not let their kid go as far as they can see them, and you'd be riding around the driveway.
Yep.
Yeah, so why bother getting a bike? But
just another one of those little things that annoy you as a comedian.
Yes. No, seriously. That's so annoying. But there's rail trails, so let your kid ride on the rail trail.
Yeah.
You know, it's in the woods. They're like, oh, someone might attack him or molest him. I'm like, come on.
All right, is there anything else you want to plug, or?
No. I'm trying to think of all the things that I do. No, I do a lot.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
It was a pleasure.
All right.